What if the clarity you're chasing isn't hiding in another self-improvement goal, but in simply clearing the space you already live in? Hello and welcome back to the Simplify and Detox series. If you're new here, my name is Lisa and I'm the founder of Holistic Balance, where we blend science and spirituality to help you create a life that feels calm, clear, and aligned. This month, we're journeying through the Simplify and Detox series, a 4-week exploration of what happens when you create space for what truly matters. Last week, we began by noticing, slowing down just enough to become aware of what feels heavy, cluttered, what feels like it's draining the life out of you. And let me tell you this, I've been doing this right alongside you, and this week has been eye-opening. I have been starting to simply observe. No pressure to fix or change anything, just paying attention. And what I noticed really surprised me. There were moments in my day that looked super peaceful on the outside, like sitting at my desk with a cup of tea, sitting on the sofa reading. But energetically, I was so on, quote unquote. I was so activated. My mind was darting between tabs, to-dos, messages, ideas, things that I need to get done, projects and business ideas, and just so much unfinished business. And they were all competing for my attention. And my space mirrored that exact energy. There were papers in little piles, half-burned candles. And one thing that I noticed is also the amount of papers that I have lying around, or the amount of notebooks that I started but then never finished, kind of representing all of the unfinished projects that I have. So there were so many things that were all almost finished but not quite. And that's when I realized clutter does not always look messy. Sometimes it's simply energetic. The quiet noise of the unfinished. Could say that the first week was just about taking inventory. Where in your life do you feel cluttered? If you downloaded the workbook and you went through the daily prompts, you now have a good idea of what in your life is cluttered, what needs to be simplified. And so this week, we go deeper. We're turning our attention to the physical spaces that we live in, our homes, our desks, our sacred corners. Because your environment is not just where you live, it's how you live. It's the mirror your nervous system reads all day long. As I was going through week 1 of this series, I was reflecting on some of the clients that I worked with. A few months ago, I had a client who came to me feeling completely drained. And she told me that she doesn't even know why she's tired anymore. She rests, she meditates, she journals, but she feels like her energy leaked somewhere that she couldn't see. We got to the place where she talked about her physical home, her physical environment. And at some point she paused and she said something so simple but so profound. And I've been thinking about that on a regular basis since then. Because she said, it's like my stuff is whispering to me. It's like there's this constant background noise. And that's exactly what clutter does. Every item, every unfinished task, every pile sends a silent signal to your brain. Remember me, deal with me, fix me someday. And even when you're not consciously aware of it, your nervous system is. And that's the thing. Neuroscientists at Princeton discovered that clutter literally competes for your attention in the visual cortex, the part of your brain responsible for processing what you see. So what that means is that when your environment is chaotic, your brain has to work harder to filter out irrelevant stimuli. That's why you might feel mentally foggy or overstimulated without understanding why. Because your brain is processing more noise, quote unquote, than it can handle. So you can visualize it like this. Your brain has to decide what is important for you to consciously be aware of and what is not. So if you look around your room, the room that you're in, or maybe you're outside, there's so many things that when you start paying attention to them and you start noticing them, you're like, oh, wait, what? That has been there the whole time, but I didn't see that. You have seen it. It's just that there's a part in your brain that decides which visual stimuli to get through to your consciousness and which ones to just let out. And that is not something that we're aware of, but it happens at all times. Even right now, you can do a little exercise. just pause this video for a second and just look around the environment that you're in and start to notice things. Start to really screen it bit by bit, and you're going to be like, oh wait, this pencil I didn't see there before, this cap I wasn't aware of. But all of these things your visual cortex had to decide not to pay attention to. And so the more things, the more your visual cortex, your brain actually has to work. And this connects so beautifully to something that we have been talking about quite a lot, actually, I think, in this series and in general on this channel, which is the cognitive load theory, which says that our mental bandwidth is limited. So when we fill our environment with distractions, it taxes that bandwidth, leaving less energy for creativity, focus, joy. And from a psychological lens, clutter keeps us in what is known as the partial stress response. It's not the full-on fight or flight mode. It's subtle background vigilance. Your nervous system senses unresolved tasks everywhere you look. And so even when you rest, you don't really rest. That's why after you declutter, even something as small as a drawer or surface, you feel lighter, more present, more alive. You've literally reduced the cognitive and energetic noise your brain was processing. An example of that is so simple and seems so silly but made a difference, which was the other day I decluttered. I don't even know why, but I just decided that it's time to clean up and declutter my fridge and my freezer. So I spent not even long, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, getting everything out, cleaning it, sorting it, making sure that everything is cleaned up. And it made such a difference. It wasn't that before I looked at my freezer and I was like, oh my God, this is so messy. I hate it. It stresses me. But now that it is clean and it is tidied and it is decluttered, I notice how it doesn't stress me anymore. And that's the thing with these things. It's not that we constantly think about how much our environment actually influences us and stresses us. But the moment we take away that stress, the moment we take away the clutter and we declutter, we simplify, we notice how much there actually was and how much that actually stressed us. So let's talk about it from an energetic perspective. So energetically, clutter stagnates our life force energy. You can think of it like the flowing river we've been working with this month. So imagine a river for a second. It's filled with rocks, with fallen branches, with dirt, with packaging, with plastic. What happens? The water slows, it thickens, it loses its clarity. It loses its flow. That's your energy when your space is full of things that no longer resonate. But then when you remove even one stone, clear one corner, tidy one drawer, the current begins to move again. That's why this work feels so powerful so quickly. Because you're not just clearing your space, you're unclogging your life force energy. Another client story. There was a client that shared something that really stayed with me. She'd been struggling to make decisions. And one day she texted me and she was like, Lisa, I just cleaned my kitchen cupboard and somehow I know what to do with my career. And at first she thought it was silly. But as we unpacked it, she realized that her clutter wasn't random. To her, each item represented a little pocket of indecision, a place where her energy had been stuck. So every time she looked at her kitchen cupboard, she reinforced to herself that she is an indecisive person. So letting go of the mugs that she didn't love and spices she didn't use became symbolic of a bigger release. Of course, it wasn't about the cupboard. It was about reclaiming choice. So it wasn't just the space that she cleared, it was like she finally gave herself permission to have a life that fits who she is. And that's what this week really is about. Simplifying isn't minimalism for the sake of aesthetics. It's alignment. It's allowing your outer world to match the truth of your inner one. And there's a reason why small wins feel so satisfying. So why for me, cleaning out the freezer was such a thing. Every time you complete a tiny, meaningful task, like clearing a surface, or in my case, clearing out the freezer, your brain releases dopamine, the neurotransmitter linked with motivation and reward. And this is what behavioral psychologists call successive approximation, building change through small, achievable steps. Each moment of completion reinforces safety, trust, and confidence in your nervous system. So I want to make one big disclaimer and one big note here. This week, don't try to overhaul your entire home, please. Don't take everything out of the cupboards and the drawers and the wardrobes, and then in the end, it's one big pile of messy things that you don't know what to do with. Start small. One corner, one drawer, one step. And if you want to go all in, if you want to have that step-by-step guidance, download the Simplify and Detox kit, because in there I have daily prompts for you so that it doesn't feel overwhelming, it doesn't feel like it's too much, but it feels very doable. You're not just organizing, you're building momentum for a transformation. And as I've been simplifying my own space, I've noticed how emotional it can be. Sometimes we do hold on to objects, not because we need them, but because they anchor us to an identity, a memory, or a time when we felt safe. So if you feel resistance as you clear, that's okay. And if there is an object that you really want to keep because it feels meaningful to you, that's okay. This is not about becoming as minimalistic as possible. This is about clearing out the things that make you feel stressed and leaving the things that make you feel good. It's not about pushing through. It's about noticing what each item brings up and gently releasing what no longer serves who you're becoming. Because every time you let go of something physical, you make room for something energetic. So up in the corner or down in the comments if you're on YouTube, I will share my guided energetic room cleanse meditation. This is a visualization that helps you release the old energy from your physical space and infuse it with clarity and peace. So remember, your Simplify and Detox kit, including your workbook and companion for week 2, is waiting for you below. Inside, you will find daily reflection prompts to help you move through this week with awareness, grace, and flow. Because we don't want to overwhelm ourselves. This is not about perfection. This is not about doing it all at once. This is about one small step at a time. So this week, I invite you to notice how your body feels as you clear your space. Notice how your breath deepens, your thoughts soften, and your energy begins to flow again. Because the more space you create outside, the more clarity you'll find within. I will meet you here again next week for our next part of the Simplify and Detox series. Until then, take a deep breath, look around your space, and start where you are. Goodbye.